That was why he played one of his 2 trump cards. He slowly turned around and said, as if he was completely confident, "Albedo, you're already working on it, right?" In other words, he was throwing it at someone capable. "Yes, soon we'll be reaping the seeds Demiurge sowed. There you have it. You two don't need to worry about a thing." He did feel a bit guilty when everyone in the room looked at him with gleaming eyes, as if they were observing someone amazing. He also feared the disappointment that would appear in their eyes when they found out it was all a sham. But Demiurge, he didn't know what kind of plan Demiurge had been concocting, but he did expect nothing less from him. Aints wanted to ask more about this harvest, but there was no way he could. Aints Ulgaun was supposed to have a handle on everything. He knew he should probably study economics, but when he read difficult books, his eyes just kind of glazed over. Come on, there must be a simpler way to explain Keynesian economics. Is my mind simply not as flexible anymore because I am getting older? Aints had been plenty capable of learning the game systems in Yggdrasil. He never bragged, but he had astounded his guildmates by memorizing over 700 spells. He had acquired these spells over time. On top of that, knowledge of spells he didn't have was a weapon. It allowed him to read his opponent's abilities, so he had done his best to learn about all the magic in the game. As a result, he was probably one of the top 5 in the guild when it came to magic knowledge. He had accomplished all that, but academic books were simply beyond him. Is it possible I can learn anything else because I don't have a brain? That was impossible. He had learned a ton of things since coming to this world, but the terrifying thought sent a chill up his spine. "Lord Aints, I was actually hoping to obtain your permission for something." "What permission?" He didn't think Albedo's proposals required prior authorization. She was very sensible. She would surely make even better decisions than him, but an organization couldn't function that way. The job of the one at the top was to take responsibility for the actions of those below. Authorization was necessary for that. In order to get those humans moving, I was thinking we should send someone to the royal capital. "May I go?" "What?" Aints was so surprised, he raised his voice. He was nervous to send Albedo anywhere with Demiurge nearby. Not to mention that the city wasn't fully under his control yet. More than anything, though, his surprise was largely due to this being the first time Albedo had ever proposed anything like that. "It would be pretty inconvenient to send you away." "Oh." Albedo seemed happy to hear that. "Don't worry, Lord Aints. I'll get the job done as quickly as possible and hurry back to your side. I see maybe it's not a problem if it's for only a short time." "Who are you planning on having manage the city and Nazarick while you're gone?" Since Aura and Mare looked curious, it clearly wasn't them. Aints figured it definitely wasn't him, so he had to ask. "I was thinking of entrusting things to Pandora's actor." He heard Aura and Mare say, "Pandora's actor should be fine. Him, as you created him, Lord Aints, he's a highly valuable asset. The apple really doesn't fall far from the tree. Do excuse me. I didn't mean to imply that we are like your children, simply because you and the other supreme beings created us. Please forgive my rudeness." Aints was bewildered and blinked furiously. The sparkle of the red points of light in his eyes dimmed. "You don't need to apologize. He is well, my child. Sorry. It's not as if I dislike him, but he is an incompetent child. No, I don't mean he's bad or anything like that. Arg, what the heck? He is like a child, yes." They ended up facing each other in silence. That wasn't going to get them anywhere, so Aints posed a question. "If Pandora's actor is going to be managing things, then what about his job, acting as Momon? Am I supposed to do it?" "No, I certainly don't mean to foist such basic tasks off on you, my lord. I intend to set things up so that Momon takes on a request to patrol this area." Aints nodded with a grunt of approval. He had been feeling like he'd like to be Momon for the first time in a while and stretch his wings. But when he thought about it, the situation was very different when compared to his first carefree adventures. There were more nuisances, more matters that required him to stay on his toes. Perhaps it was best to have Momon go on patrol. But if Sir Momon leaves, will there be problems with the humans in the city? No. Lord Aints' ploy was a critical success, because we haven't done anything nasty to the humans, not that anyone intended to in the first place. They truly trust this Momon character. So if Momon gathers the people of influence in the city before he leaves and tells them to do as we say, there won't be any issues. And I am so impressed that they don't realize they're being manipulated by a puppet. All I can say is that it was brilliant of you to have seen so far ahead and planned for this right after we were transporting here Lord Aints. It is somewhat convoluted that they believe in Lord Aints because they believe in Sir Momon. That is true, but what other choice do we have to govern the city peacefully? We'll gradually remove Momon from the picture as we cultivate their allegiance to Lord Aints. It might take a few years, but that is just how it will have to be. All right, Albedo, leave things up to Pandora's actor, and once you're done with all your preparations and handoffs, go harvesting. Is there anything you'd like to request to get you started? Understood. Well, I suppose while I am there, I'd like to meet with the Human King and negotiate some things. I'll draft my proposal, so could I trouble you for a review? Sure. Bring it over later. He was confident that if it was Albedo's plan, all he would have to do was give it his stamp of approval. Also, this is somewhat awkward to ask for, but could I have a few outfits to wear? I think I'll need to change while I am there, I see. Then I'll give you some things from my collection. Come by in a bit. By the way, is Demia? Never mind, it is fine. Shall we move on to the next item? Since you two are here, I might as well ask your opinions too. Once their work was finished, the 3 guardians and the elder liches left the room. Only Aints and Fifth remained, plus the 8-edged assassins clinging to the ceiling. Actually, Aints' work was done now. This meant the rest of his day was free time. He had things he could do, but if he did them early, it just meant he would have nothing to do later. Aints wondered how to best use this time for a while, then he stood up as he stumbled upon an idea. I am going to go see Pandora's actor. When he made that declaration and set off walking, Fifth followed behind him without a word. Naturally, the 8-edged assassins did too. When they left the house, the outside air was still cool, the calendar would V told him as much. Aints thought there was a comfortable breeze blowing, but when he considered his complete resistance to chill, he couldn't help but glance quickly at Fifth before they set off. The complex was mostly made up of 3 buildings. There was the main house they had just been in, there were also the offices of the domestic officials, and there was the second residence. Pandora's actor, or rather, Momon, was staying in the second house. Really, it would have been appropriate for Momon to come to Aints as the ruler. But Aints wanted to enjoy a change of pace. What's going on? Aints murmured to himself as they approached the second house. He was peering at a little structure adjacent to it. They called it a stable, but the only one sleeping there now was Hamusuk, or rather, that's how it was supposed to be. As Aints approached the little stable with a question on his mind, he heard some snoozing breaths. Sleep was a privilege of the living. Hamusuk must have been there. The sun had already risen pretty high, but apparently she was still sleeping. Hamusuk had eyes like a cat, so she could see in the dark, but according to her, she didn't operate in terms of day and night. Her lifestyle had been to eat and then sleep until she was hungry again. Honestly, when Aints heard that, the first thing he thought was, how did she earn the title of the wise king of the forest? He felt stupid for expecting more intelligent behavior. If he could get this close before she realized it was him, did it mean she had gone soft? Geez, she had let herself go. Well, he guessed he had to consider the possibility that she was up late working last night. She wasn't. Mistress Hamusuk was here all day yesterday. Upon hearing Fifth's damning remark, Aints tried to come up with something to say in Hamusuk's defense, but he couldn't. Well, she's a pet anyhow, so expecting more out of her would be barking up the wrong tree. He didn't care if she let herself go, but it was kind of offensive to have someone around who was just hanging out while he was working. Of course, that was just him taking out his frustrations on her. When he peeked inside the stable, a giant hamster was lying there asleep. It was an image of slovenly sleep. Only a nose bubble could have perfected it, but something else caught Aints' eye. It wasn't just the bold sleeping posture. It seemed more appropriate for a middle-aged man than any hamster he had ever seen. Curled up in Hamusuk's tail was a death knight. This was the mystery undead Aints had detected from outside. He had a sensory link with the undead he created, so he had a general idea of where they all were. But when they moved to Rantel, he had brought so many, sometimes it felt like a big jumble. To be honest, it was difficult for him to tell exactly what undead he had and where they were at the moment. Still, he hadn't assigned any to this stable, so detecting one had surprised him. Wake up, Hamusuk, MRRF that I say. Hamusuk rubbed her eyes dexterously, or perhaps it was best described as in a human way, and turned around, catching sight of Aints. Oh. I wondered who it could be, I did. If it isn't my master, Right now no one s around, so that s fine, but normally you need to call me Lord Aints. You ray momon s mount, not mine. Of course that I will, master. Okay. If you understand, then that s fine. Her reply made him want to ask if she really got it or not. Magical beasts, due to their nature as beasts, were particularly susceptible to mind control. That was why he was lending her an item that gave her immunity to those types of spells, but he was still worried that she might end up leaking intelligence for some reason completely unrelated to magic. Well, you haven't made any mistakes yet. I am putting my trust in you. Now about what I really wanted to ask you, what s with this Death Knight? Oh, this is my training friend that he is. That s when Aints remembered. Apparently this was the Death Knight he had assigned when Hamusuk was acquiring the warrior class, the undead they had used in tests to see if it could level up as a warrior and acquire martial arts. Aints had even equipped the Death Knight with an artifact that dramatically increased experience point gain in exchange for decreased ability points, but he never leveled up. Aints wasn't particularly upset because the results were as expected, but Hamusuk began to protest about this and that, so after retrieving his artifact, he let her have the Death Knight, that guy, but the spikes on his armor are rounded off. He didn't give him to her as a body pillow. He was hoping maybe she would master something as a warrior. Well, whatever, he has plenty of Death Knights. Letting her have one won't cause any problems. At this point, Aints had so many Death Knights it was overkill. He had even been creating them as part of his daily schedule. I see, got it. But even if you're not a wild magical beast anymore, it's pretty bad if you don't notice someone until they get this close to you. We're not aura after all. Shouldn't you be a little warier? Hamusuk looked dejected and her whiskers drooped. I am sorry that I am. In the forest, I was the strongest that I was. I was never attacked, so I never really had to be on guard. No, I didn't you ever have a childhood? But wait, what about the giant of the east and the magical serpent of the west? Who, that I ask, who are they? East, west, what are you talking about, that I wonder? A question mark appeared above Aints' head. The other two you split the rule of the forest with. Oh ho, I was not aware such creatures existed in the forest, that I wasn't. Brilliant master that you are, I am impressed with your knowledge that I am. I don't know much about the world beyond my territory. You call yourself the wise king of the forest, but it was a human warrior who came into my territory a long time ago who named me that it was. It was a rather cool name, so I let that warrior go that I did. How nostalgic. Aints had the feeling he had figured out what happened. The warrior who had been allowed to escape must have exaggerated the story of facing off against Hamusuk, even if it was only to justify why they survived while all their friends had been killed. He could understand the logic of it. Hamusuk was actually quite strong by this world's standards. The only humans he had met who could defeat Hamusuk were probably Clementine and Gazef. Ain't suddenly thought of Gazef. What's wrong, master? Hamusuk asked. It's nothing. You ray not qualified to be wise king of the forest. You ray the hamster of the forest. If I remember correctly, a hamster is that animal you mentioned before, master. You really think I am a hamster? Yep. You ray a giant hamster. Oh, I am a giant hamster then. Do you know where I might find some more of me? Nope. His firm negative depressed her. Aints felt like maybe he had been too mean, so he consoled her. I guarantee those who work for Nazarick commensurate rewards. If you continue to work for Nazarick, I'll make sure to find you some relatives. Oh, Hamusuk's whiskers perked up. I've always been loyal to you, master, but now I'll redouble my efforts to be loyal. Good, good. So Hamusuk, is Mom and I mean Pandora's actor home, your double master? I am not sure if he's in. He rides in carriages the humans send around, so he doesn't always go around with me. I seem to remember him telling me he was using the carriages to share information. Aints chuckled deviously. That was all according to his calculations. People were convinced that they were telling Momon things that Aints was keeping secret from him and aiming to get him to defect. But actually, Pandora's actor was feeding them lies without them realizing. For instance, Aints is a very trustworthy king and is a compassionate being who thinks of the people. I see, got it. But hey, you can wear armor now, so if you have nothing else to do, how about putting it on and training? The prototype armor designed for Hamusuk should have been finished. Understood that it is, master. In that case, I would like to see the lizard men, all right. I'll make that happen. If I tell Cocytus, he'll have someone summoned. I am so very grateful, master, she said. Okay, Sir Death Knight, let us do our best together that I say. Aints paid no mind to the passionate friendship between the hamster and the undead and walked away. From behind he heard her say, be quiet already that I say, but he couldn't imagine the Death Knight had said anything. He wondered what Hamusuk was going on about, but decided to forget about it. Actually, I gave her something once. I feel like I am forgetting something, but if I can remember, it must not have been that important. Despite that dissatisfying thought, Aints had arrived in front of the second house. He didn't bother using the knocker. Fifth, who had been behind him, slipped by. Open it. Yes, Lord Aints. Her expression as she opened the door was attentive, but her lips were smiling faintly. She must have been thrilled to have been of use to him. I am really glad I observed Jerknev. I really have gotten this ruler thing down now. I feel bad for him, but I am going to keep watching. It will help me learn how to act like a king. Aints didn't thank Fifth, but gazed at the open door. 8-edged assassins. Yes, my lord, at your service. The several 8-edged assassins who had accompanied him appeared at his side. Go. Yes, my lord. When he gestured with his chin, the 8-edged assassins gave a more spirited reply than usual and pressed into the building. No one was there besides Pandora's actor. Sometimes Narbril was around, but she was usually in the great tomb of Nazarick, carrying out Aints' orders. He could have left a regular maid here, but he didn't want the humans who came to visit Momon to think they were being monitored. This is the current state of things. Still, considering the possibility that the enemy who brainwashed Sholtia might infiltrate, Aints felt he needed to take some sort of precautions. That is, if there's even anyone who could infiltrate this far. Well, only a fool lets his guard down. Still, how long do I have to wait here in front of this door? Am I supposed to go in? Common sense would dictate that I wait here, because the 8-edged assassins will return to this spot. But is it very kingly to wait at the entrance like this? After hesitating for a little while, Aints decided whatever and stepped inside the second house. He walked with what he imagined was the dignified attitude befitting a king. He had practiced this dozens of times, pacing around his room. But before he went 20 paces, one of the 8-edged assassins returned and threw themselves at his feet. Lord Aints, we've called Master Pandora's actor for you. He'll be here momentarily. I see. Then I'll wait in the sitting room. He had been to this house before, so he had a general idea of the layout. He had Fifth open the door and unhesitatingly sat in the most honored seat in the room. It felt strange, because his old company employee manners told him he was in the wrong spot, but this wasn't a hard move for Aints after all his ruler training. A short time passed. Then there was a knock on the door. He nodded at Fifth. Having received permission, Fifth opened the door. Pandora's actor entered, not using magic to transform into Aints like Momon, but in his normal military uniform. Lord Aints, supreme being and my creator, no need for greetings. Sit. Yes, sir. He clicked his heels together and strode over. Pandora's actor probably intended to display the brisk motions of a military man, but to Aints, it was all unnecessary. Overblown is how he would have described it. Pandora's actor crossed the room and sat next to Aints. Wouldn't you normally sit across from me? Everyone has personal space. Aints was shocked to find Pandora's actor invading his so nonchalantly. Well, I guess it's fine, but he's right in my face. He took a good look at Pandora's actor. He wasn't quite as shocking as when he first met him in the treasury. Over time, some of his orders must have toned him down. What is it? And nothing. Don't worry about it. Now then, I wanted to ask you a few things. First, tell me news about Momon. I know you're reporting to Albedo, but have there been any problems? Not really. Okay, that's good. Then I want to ask you, as Pandora's actor, have there been any problems? The atmosphere changed. Actually, Lord Aints. He leaned in so far that Aints bent backward as if he'd been pushed. I haven't the fortitude. Before Aints could even retort with a "Who are you?" Pandora's actor continued. I haven't touched a magic item in so very long. I haven't polished any of the magical objects created by the supreme beings. I wasn't done sorting the data crystals either. I beg you, Lord Aints, give me some time to spend with the magic items. Is this how I made you? Indeed. These are emotions I received from you, Lord Aints. Oh, Aints racked his brain to recall the backstory of Pandora's actor. He did remember giving him some sort of personality trait. He enjoyed the caretaking and keeping of magic items. It made sense, since Pandora's actor was the only one in the treasury. He was surrounded by things he loved. He had basically gotten a job in heaven, as Aints thought, but this seemed to be entering fetish territory. Don't you go back to Nazarick every day? Half of Nazarik's undead were made by Aints. The other half were made by Pandora's actor. His creation's undead was somewhat weaker than the ones Aints personally created, but still within the margin of error. There were tons of corpses kept on ice on the 5th level, so many that even with both of them creating undead, they couldn't possibly get through them all. But I don't have permission to return to the treasury. What state of mind was he in if he wasn't making his over-the-top gestures like usual? I see. Then I'll have Sholtia give you a ring. And as for the gear you asked me about, I'll allow it. Just don't break it. He cut out the gestures. I thought I told you to talk normally, maybe I didn't.